Hey everybody, this is your GM, your back row diamond, your GM who currently is not on the team right now, but don't you worry about it, Kale, here to bring you episode 14 of the Stack and Shed series. Now, in this series, we're covering all 32 teams, so everybody gets a chance to be talked about, alright? Now, in this series, we're covering a few different topics, and they include what went wrong, what do they need, stack or shed, their draft picks, one move I would do in their cap space. Right now, in this episode, we're talking about the Bears, so buckle up, it's going to be controversial. All right, let's get into it. So, what went wrong in the Bears season? And I will venture to say it was an inconsistent defense that relied solely on splash plays. With the hiring of Ben Johnson, I knew there was going to be a philosophical change with this team. And that philosophical change was going from a defensive driven team to now an offensive driven team. Whenever there's a change of this magnitude, that means there's also going to be a change on how they build the roster. And that's what we're seeing in this offseason. From releasing Tremaine Edmonds to letting Kevin Byard hit free agency as well as Jaquan Brisker, we're seeing that the Bears are serious about building up this offense and trying to keep the defense as cheap as possible. Now, we can't say this is the right move or the wrong move yet because it's still too early in Ben Johnson's tenure with the Bears. But looking at this defense last year, it relied solely on interceptions. If they weren't getting a pick, if they weren't forcing a fumble, if they weren't doing anything that is quote unquote splashy, this defense is not doing anything. And we have the stats to back it up. They had the 29th ranked defense and they allowed 24.4 points per game, 361.8 yards per game, 6 yards per play, and 47 touchdowns. They were 22nd in pass defense and they allowed 227.2 passing yards per game, 6.8 passing yards per play, and 32 passing touchdowns. They were 27th in run defense and they allowed 15 rushing touchdowns, 134.5 rushing yards per game, and 5 rushing yards per play. But here's some stats that show how much this Bears defense relied on interceptions. So in the 13 games that they had an interception, they allowed 4,469 yards, 4.7 yards per play, while generating 27 sacks, 23 interceptions, 9 forced fumbles, and 8 fumble recoveries. In the 4 games the Bears defense didn't have an interception, they allowed 1,681 yards, 5.4 yards per play, while generating 8 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Now, if we break this down even more, here's the Bears' defensive stats per game with an interception. They allow 343.8 yards per game, 4.7 yards per play, while generating 2 sacks a game, while generating 1.7 interceptions per game. But when we look at the Bears' defensive stats per game without an interception, this is what we have. They allowed 420.3 yards per game, 5.4 yards per play, while generating 2 sacks per game. Although certain players had a really good season, as a collective they underperformed. Because as we saw in the regular season going into the playoffs, when this defense didn't get an interception, guess what happened? They wasn't stopping the run, they wasn't stopping explosive plays, they wasn't converting on third down, and they definitely wasn't creating constant pressure on quarterbacks. Now with that being said, what do the Bears need? And that is a fundamentally sound defense. Now, this can be accomplished in a few different ways. For starters, the coaches can emphasize a more balanced approach. So instead of you emphasizing turnovers, you can emphasize just playing better ball as a whole. The pass rushers being more consistent, the linebackers being more consistent, the secondary being more consistent. Now, the result is that the defense is going to play so well that it's going to put added pressure on offensive coordinators to find the weak spots in this defense. Another approach is bringing more dynamic playmakers for that side of the ball. Sure, you have Kyler Gordon. Sure, you have Grady Jarrett and Montez Sweat and Jalen Johnson, but I think you need a little bit more. Now, this can be accomplished via free agency or in the draft. Now, with that being said, the question we all need to ask ourselves is stack or shed? And I will venture to say stack. And the reason why I say that is because what you have right now is a great foundation in Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and some pieces on that defense. As long as you continue to build the right way, you're going to be fine. But if you stir away from the current path that you're on right now, I guarantee you're going to fall right back into the same cycle of dysfunction that this Bears team has been in for the last 20-some years. Now, in no way am I saying this Bears team is going to make it to the Super Bowl this upcoming season, but I do believe they are a playoff team. I will give them that. Looking at their draft picks, they have their first, 2 seconds, a third, a fourth, and 2 7ths. Now, I want to see what the Bears are going to do in the first round because they have the 25th pick. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but you are in a spot where at that point, one or two things are going to happen. Either the board is going to be devoid of the talent that you really want, or there's going to be so many teams that are going to trade down that's going to leave you in a messy spot. Because what we're seeing in this draft class is that there's an inflation of value at positions that the league has not valued in the past. Now, I want to see what side of the ball the Bears are going to address first, because I feel like the offense is in a really good spot, and any needs that are on that side of the ball, I feel like you can address that in the second and third round. Now, the one move that I would do is draft a defensive player. Now, I'm leaning towards an interior defensive lineman or maybe a pass rusher or maybe a linebacker. I don't really want to do anything with the secondary yet. I would rather wait to do that maybe in the second, third, or maybe fourth round because I feel like there's some hidden gems there. But my question is this, and I want to answer from the Bears fans on our YouTube page at Football Junkies Pod. Should the Bears emphasize the front seven, the linebacker core, or the secondary? Because I'm leaning towards addressing the interior defensive line or edge rusher. Because what we see in the league right now is that you either have a guy at interior defensive line or edge rusher, or you have a collective sort of like what the Seahawks have. Now, if you want to take the approach that the Eagles have, hey, go at it. But I think if you're the Bears, if you just build out this defensive line, I think it's really going to help out. Because you already have Grady Jarrett, you have Javon Dexter, you have Montez Sweat. Looking at their cap situation, they have $1 million. Now the question is this, what are they going to do to create some cap space so that they can sign all their draft picks and maybe be players in the second and third wave of free agency? My guess is that they're currently trying to restructure some deals right now to create some more cap space. Maybe they're going to try to give some extensions. I don't know. Hopefully they figure it out because you can't have $1 million going into the draft. You just cannot do that. You have to find a way to create some cap space. Even if it's just 5 to 6 million, that's perfectly fine. But only time will tell. But I'm in this episode here. If you guys like what you were listening, please make sure you guys leave a 5-star review in anywhere and everywhere that you can listen to this podcast, okay? We are available on Apple, Spotify, and a few other places. Now, if you want to access those places, go on Google, type in rss.com Football Junkies Podcast. It should be the first link. When you click on that link, it'll take you to our rss.com page where you can listen to this podcast on your online browser, okay? There should be a box that says listen to. When you click on that box, it'll give you a plethora of different places that you can listen to this podcast, all right? Now, you can follow us on YouTube at Football Junkies Pod. Football Junkies Pod. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe, turn the notification bell, and leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this episode and other episodes that I put out. Am I right? Am I wrong? Let's talk about it, all right? Now, you can follow us on Instagram at Football_Junkies Pod. Football_Junkies Pod. Junkies Pod is not what? It is together, not spaced, okay? It is together, not space. Football_Junkies Pod. You can follow me on TikTok at Football Junkies Pod. Football Junkies Pod. I've been posting a boatload of clips. I got more. Just give me some time. I may even drop my mock draft. Just give me some time with that, all right? Now, you can follow me on Blue Sky at GMKale. GMKAILE. GMKAILE. You can also follow me on Twitter at GMKale. GMKAILE. As always, I hope I gave you guys the fix that you guys need. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for listening to the best football podcast that you can listen to on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. And as always, this is your GM Kale signing out. Peace and love. Later, guys.